I'm really excited about our next guest. As we all know, our government's targets for reducing greenhouse gas emissions will not be achieved unless structural changes are put in place that go beyond new renewable energy facilities. And Pierre-Olivier Pineau, he's the chair of the energy sector and management at HEC Montreal, and he has just authored a new book entitled L'équilibre énergétique, or the energy balance or energy equilibrium, which presents very concrete and applicable solutions that would improve our province's energy sectors. And Pierre-Olivier Pineau joins us now. Pierre-Olivier, thank you very much for taking the time.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
So, tell me more about the book. It's about 200 pages. It's a very quick read. But what would you say is the key takeaway from this book?
Well, the argument I first tried to make is that the energy transition is much more than just fighting climate change. So I try to make the point that everyone would gain, even if you don't believe climate change exists or is worth fighting against. You should still be working for the energy transition because hydrocarbons cost us a lot. The geopolitics of oil and natural gas is a disaster for the planet, and we can see that with Russia and Ukraine and natural gas and oil being at the center of that conflict. Biodiversity is important, and it needs to be more protected, and that would also be the case if we would help biodiversity by using less hydrocarbons. And then health issues. The way we use energy is attacking our health. So basically, there's a very strong case for the energy transition from different angles. And the second point is that we already have the technologies that we can use to make this energy transition. It's more a question of will and our capacity to change, but not so much the lack of technology.
So let's take this big picture idea that you're talking about, and let's try to bring it down to everyday levels, and talk about, for example, something you've been talking about for years, and I remember you talk about this when I was environment minister, is the fact that, and today we realize that now we're talking about electric cars, and everybody's excited about electric cars, but what you're saying is that we're basically replacing a gas car by an electric car. That doesn't really gain us anything.
Well, I wouldn't say it hurts, but it doesn't lead us to the point we want to be. That means a net zero society by 2050. And the problem with electric cars is that they still need to be built, and we need steel, we need aluminum, we need plastic to build them, and that leads to more urban sprawl. We need roads to build these roads made out of asphalt most of the time, and that is an oil product. And the way we use the land, that's a big problem in our ecological impact. So we cannot afford to actually encourage urban sprawl. We need to have denser cities. Even in rural areas, we would need to regroup people in more dense regions so that we don't have to build all these infrastructures that need a lot of steel, cement, and all the materials that have a huge energy impact. So electric cars are not that bad. They're better than gasoline cars, but the problem is that we have too many of them, and that leads us to a way of living that is not compatible with net zero.
Premier Legault and Energy Minister Pierre Fitzgibbon are saying, we need more hydroelectric plants. What's your response to that?
Well, the truth is that if we don't want to change anything in our way of life, and if we will still want to have large houses, more and more commercial buildings, that it's the case now, yes. And then if we want to decarbonize all that and don't use natural gas, we will need more electricity. The problem is that more electricity will help us reducing our greenhouse gases to some extent, but not to the net zero point. That is a huge target. So we need to be more efficient in the way we use electricity, to avoid building the huge amount of additional windmills and wind farms that we would have to build. And by minimizing this and changing some of the things we're doing, we would minimize both the buildings, but we would also, avoid the construction of all the buildings and infrastructure, and we would save money. So in the end, there are two paths. Either we try to build and build and build, and that leads to more emissions and maybe more electricity and less greenhouse gases on that front, but higher cost or lower cost, different way of life, but still high standards of living.
So give me an example or examples of a different way of life. Because right now, Pierre-Olivier, the way I see things, I mean, municipally, provincially, federally, everything is stuck. Nothing is moving really in the right direction. So what can we change? What can we do? What are the quick wins or the low-hanging fruit you think we can go after?
Well, individually, there are 4 quick wins. First, try to avoid buying a big SUV. You will save money yourself by not having all the payments that you are making, the oil, the gasoline that you're putting in your tank. So there are wins in terms of transportation. Use more bicycle, public transit, walk, homework.
Okay, let me interrupt. Okay, a family, the soccer mom, take Natasha, her daughter, her husband. I mean, you can't do all that with a bike.
That's true, but when you look at the amount of SUVs on the road, they're not linked to the increases in families.
You're right. I'm just trying to strike a balance here.
So yeah, of course. So what I'm saying is just that some families will still need a car, but most of the cars we see on roads, they're not out of real needs by these families.
No, the pickups. Nobody needs a pickup in town.
Very few people need a pickup. So these are savings that some people could make and they're not making. Then housing, the way we should not try to have bigger homes. We do have more and more homes in Quebec and in Canada, and there are fewer and fewer people in these homes. So that's something we can always improve. Individually, you can make the case to say, okay, I'll move to a smaller apartment, smaller house. And then when I grew up in an apartment, and now I have myself a bigger apartment with 2 kids than the one my parents had. So I'm also guilty, but we should all make some efforts. Third point, we need to eat less meat because all these animal protein, they are more energy intensive and create more greenhouse gases than vegetables and proteins from vegetarian diets. And then we need to reuse material goods, reduce the number of goods we're using, and recycle as much as we can. And we're not. We have a huge waste problem in Quebec and Canada. So we need to be much better at the way we manage waste and reuse things more, so that we don't need the energy to build these things.
So true. Pierre-Olivier, that's all the time I have. You're one of the top thinkers in Quebec and in the country on this topic. Congratulations on the book, and thank you very much for coming on this afternoon.
Thank you very much for the invitation, and talk to you soon.
Talk to you soon. Pierre-Olivier Pineau from HEC Montreal. The book is L'équilibre énergétique. Really, some sobering thoughts, some real concrete solutions on moving forward on Quebec's energy future.